Hello. So, as we're new, we're much less cool than everyone else, and we've got notes. So I'm going to try and pretend that they're not here, but I am going to read from these notes. Thanks, Adam, so wherever you are, so much for having us. We're really excited to be here. My name's Isla van Tricht, and I'm the book and lyric writer, and this is Woolf. He's the composer. And what we're sharing with you tonight is a new song. We wrote it 2 weeks ago, something like that. It's a brand new song from our musical VALERIE, the full title of which is...
The full title is concisely VALERIE, the correct account of activist, writer and genius Valerie Solanas, who famously wrote the Scum Manifesto and also shot Andy Warhol, as told by herself and her friends.
So I became interested in Valerie maybe a couple of years ago. I was writing a play and I came across her Scum Manifesto. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. Yeah, some cheers in the audience, some fans in, great. So Scum, she was the founder of Scum and actually its sole member. And Scum stands for the Society for Cutting Up Men. Yeah. And basically, she was a radical feminist and outspoken lesbian in the 1950s and 60s. She had an incredible life. She lived in New York in the 60s. She mingled with the factory crowd. She was friends with trans icon Candy Darling, and she befriended Andy Warhol. But because of her mental health, basically, she had paranoid schizophrenia and kind of basically a really tough life. Because of kind of those things, she ended up basically being known only as the woman who shot Andy Warhol, and she died penniless and basically forgotten.
Yeah, in our musical, we give Valerie the opportunity to retell her story and to allow her to present herself as the prophetic genius whose voice on gender, sexuality and equality was decades ahead of its time. So in our show, Valerie engages her friends to play all the parts in her life so that she can have the final word. But the ensemble take on a life of their own and things don't go to plan.
So the song that we're sharing with you guys tonight is called My Turn. And the idea of it is that it's sort of like the I want, I wish number that you often come across in musical theatre. But because it's Valerie doing it, it's more like a battle cry than a sort of wistful wish or longing. And in terms of where it comes in the show, we've seen kind of some early... scenes from her childhood where she was a bit of a brawler, she was a troublemaker, she actually headbutted a nun when she was at a convent school, legend. And then she's gone off to university, 1950s, she's at Maryland University, so it's very sort of, everyone's in kind of pink and pearls and that sort of thing, and all the men all her male classmates have been asking who she's going to marry because that's the only reason that women go to university. And so this song comes at a point where she's realising that she doesn't really fit in, and her view of the way the world should be is there's a real dissonance between that and what the world is actually like. And I guess it's about her wanting to do something about it. And performing it, we've got the amazing Eleanor Jackson.
I should just quickly say, Guy and Isla said yesterday it'd be really cool if there was a violinist. I put out on Facebook, does anyone want to play the violin at Signal? This amazing lady, Claudia was already coming to Signal. Here she is.
Since I was little, though I couldn't put my finger on it, I began to feel and think that far from a star, I was much more like a blazing comet, and me and the world weren't in sync. But the earth is so huge, and it's turned for so long, with no time to pause or rearrange. So the job feels too big, and the pull feels too strong, and I can't help but feel, ain't it time for a change? Isn't it time for a change? world men have made is turning and turning, stuck on its axis and spinning, and the rage deep inside is burning and burning. When will the world be for women? I want the earth to turn my way. Not how it's turned until now. I want it to change. I want to be heard. What I have to say will change the world. Yes, what I have to say will change the world. Since I was little, though I couldn't put my finger on it, I began to feel and think that far from a star, I was much more like a blazing comet. And me and the world weren't in sync. But the earth is so huge, and it's turned for so long, with no time to pause or rearrange. So the job feels too big, and the pull feels too strong, and I can't help but think, ain't it time for a change? Ain't it time for a change? The world men have made is turning and turning, turning its back on its daughters. But the moon turns her tide, and her heart is stirring. I feel a change in the water. All I want is to change the world. I am nothing if I'm not heard. All I want is to change the